Welcome to the Noisy Composer. Alright, welcome back. Today I want to talk about the diatonic seventh chords, and I'll be able to go through all the seventh chords today. I'm going to break them up into three categories. The first are the dominant function seventh chords, the ones that resolve the tonic. The predominant seventh chords, which resolve to the dominant or 5, and all the remaining seventh chords, which just by adding a seventh doesn't really change their function at all. So it's more of a color. Okay, so let's think about the first group, the dominant function chords. Now, I'm looking at our major scale. So first we'll look at the major scale. In the major scale, on the 5th scale degree is a 5/7. Now we've talked about this already, so you guys know this chord. But the other dominant 7th chord is this one right here, the 7 half diminished 7 chord, which is built on the leading tone. In the key of C, B is the leading tone. And then in this 5/7, 7 is the chord 7 that resolves down. But in this situation, the A is the 7th of this chord, and that would resolve down. So now let's talk about what half diminished is. So first things first, we know that a diminished triad is root, 3rd, 5th, and that the distance between these notes is a minor 3rd and a minor 3rd, with a diminished 5th between the root and the 5th, therefore making it unstable. Now if we add on another note, then we have root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. And so you need to think of these as two different entities. The triad is one part and the 7th is another. So therefore on this chord, the 7th is a minor 7th. It's a whole step down from tonic, or you can count the half steps, and it's going to be 10 half steps. 11 half steps would be a major 7th. 12 half steps, of course, is an octave. So this chord, this half diminished 7th chord, the triad is diminished, but the other half, the 7th, is not diminished. It's minor 7th. So therefore, it's half diminished. The last way you can think about it is that between the root and the 3rd, minor 3rd, the 3rd and the 5th, minor 3rd, between the 5th and the 7th, major 3rd. So this is a dominant function chord that resolves the tonic, but we'll look at the voice leading afterwards. Okay, let's look at this chord in minor. All right, so what we have here is C minor, and you can see that the 5/7, the leading tone is raised. So we know this to be a 5/7 chord. And so therefore, this is a 7 fully diminished 7. So therefore, there's a B natural here because this B natural is raised over. This is the leading tone. And this is a B, D, F, A flat chord. Now, we look at this between B, D, F. This is a minor 3rd stacked. So this is a diminished triad. And then the 7th between B natural and A flat is a diminished 7th. So therefore, between root and 3rd, minor 3rd. Between 3rd and 5th, minor 3rd. Between 5th and 7th, minor 3rd. So therefore, it's a diminished 7th. So therefore, the triad is diminished and the 7th is diminished. So both of them are diminished. It's all diminished. It's fully diminished. Okay, so it's a 7 fully diminished 7 chord in minor keys. And incidentally, this chord is so popular and it sounds so cool, and composers love it because it's symmetrical, that it actually gets invited to the party all the time and ends up in major keys. Therefore, 7 fully diminished 7th is borrowed into major frequently. Okay, let's move into the next chords. So this is a major scale, and the 2nd scale degree is a 2 chord. Now, in the key of C major, 2 chords, the 2 triad is a minor triad, and then between the D and the C, the 7th is also minor. So this is a 2/7. And a lot of people say it's a 2 minor 7, but in classical music, the figured bass does not really show if it's a major 7 or minor 7. It's just known as 7, and you would know what it is just by the context of the chord. So therefore, we know in a major scale, 2/7 is a minor triad with a minor 7. Okay, let's move to minor. When we're in a minor key, the 2 is now 2 half diminished 7, which means the triad is diminished, but the 7th is not. So between D and C, again, is a minor 7. So therefore the triad, minor third, and then between the root and the 7 is a minor 7. So you can also think of it as minor third, and then between the 5th and the 7th is a major third. Okay, so that's why it's half diminished, because the triad is diminished, but the 7th is not. The 7th is different. So both of these chords I showed you, these chords will resolve to dominant, and I'll show you the example of each of those. Let's move on to the last group of chords. All right, these last group of chords, I'll just introduce them all at the same time, because basically each of the chords don't have anything different to offer as far as the way that they're treated and then the way they resolve. Basically, just by adding a 7 to the tonic, it adds a color. You can add a 7 to the 3 chord right here. The most common one is 4-7, and then the last one is 6-7. And again, each of these, you just add a 7th, and the only thing about voice leading is that the chord 7th resolves down. That's it. In minor keys, it's the same thing. In both of these situations, it's pretty rare, especially in the Baroque era, to have a 1-7 chord. It's not really commonly used. So again, these chords, the 1, the 3, the 4, the 6, in either major or minor, doesn't matter. Figured bass asks for a 7, put on a 7, and just resolve the 7th down, and that's it. You don't have to think anything else above it. The chord is business as usual. All right, let's look at some examples. All right, so we're looking now at some examples. The first measure, actually measure 7, is an example of a 7 fully diminished 7th resolving to 1. Now, so it's in root position. We see the leading tones in the bass resolving to tonic, and then the rest of them. So this is a B, D, F, A chord. Notice how all the upper voices are resolving down in contrary motion to the bass. It's pretty common for these, actually. Okay, let's see what this sounds like. Okay. Sounds fine. Next measure, measure 8. So we're in major now. So the first example was in minor. Second example is in major. So now it's a 7 half diminished 7. Again, the leading tones in the bass resolving to tonic. And notice the same thing. The upper voices are resolving down in contrary motion to the bass. Let's listen to this one. A little less tension. Half diminished 7 is not as spicy as a fully diminished 7 in my point of view. All right, measure 9. Now we're looking at the 2 chords. So 2-7 going to a 5-7, right? Because 2 goes to 5. Let's listen to that. This is kind of jazz central. We're going to do 2-5-1s all over the place. So here's our D, F, A, C. Chord 7's in the soprano voice. Notice that chord 7 resolves down. Right, that's kind of a big deal. And then our 5 goes to 1. Now we're 6 where we want to go with it. And then measure 10 is a minor key. So therefore our 2 half diminished 7. This is a D, F, A, C chord. Same voicing as previously. Notice that this chord 7th also resolves down. That's what they do. Chord 7ths go down. If you got anything from this semester, it's probably leading tone wants to go to tonic. Chord 7ths go down. Okay, so again, let's listen to this one. Not bad. A little more tension. Okay, and then our final example, we're going 1 to a 4. But this 4 is a 4-7. Again, it doesn't change anything. It's just has a little bit more color to it. Let's listen. Pretty. This concludes our look at 7th chords. I will see you soon.